All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Going to be touching on the Monday Night Football game between the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Giants. So as always, going to start out with the game preview, courtesy of ODDSJAM. If you guys want access to this tool, make sure to be clicking the link in the description below. If you do, use the promo code 95 to get 25% off. I like to use this tool because, one, we can see everything updating live. So if you guys are someone that wants to make live bets on games, like say you're watching that Chicago versus Denver game and you just could tell Denver was going to come back, you could have came here, found a sports book to place the best odds, and then you would have been good to go. That's something that I was paying attention to today. That's why I'm using an example. But looking at this game, guys, it is going to be a 1.5 point spread, which I do find kind of interesting. I feel like the Seahawks are just a much better team than the Giants, and maybe that's just because the Giants haven't really looked good at all this year. It just seems like a weird line. And the game over and under is actually pretty high as well at 47, which I find strange. And part of the reason why I think that is strange is because Saquon Barkley is doubtful. It's not like he's going to be active. Obviously, that would help the game stay close, and that would also help the Giants be able to score. That would help the game total. And so that was just a weird one to me. Other than that, we're not getting that many big injury news items for the Giants. For the Seattle Seahawks, Noah Fant currently questionable. Will Dissly questionable as well. That could just maybe lead to the run game being a little bit less efficient, but also just maybe, it's not like they're going to target heavily, but maybe one or two more targets to like Tyler Lockett or JSN, a couple of short routes to them, or maybe even the running back. But injury wise, we don't have much. So let's just go ahead and break this down. We will start out with the Seattle Seahawks. So the first one that's kind of popping up is going to be Tyler Lockett for under 4.5 reception. If we look at his game log, we can see, been a little bit hit or miss in that department, but that's kind of always been Tyler Lockett, especially with Geno Smith throwing him the football. And guys, it's not like the Giants have been like a team that we would avoid necessarily for receivers. So I did find that line to be really interesting, especially given the fact that, the last two games he has gotten 7 and 10 targets. And if that game does stay close like they are suggesting, it seems like a strange line to me that we're getting there. So maybe more of a stay away. Heck, I feel like the better bet would be to find one of those sportsbooks that is giving us those odds and actually bet the over there. Just because I see that as a good value-based bet. On the flip side of that, let's look at the snap counts for the Seattle Seahawks to see. I apologize. Let me change this to Monday Night Football here in the bottom corner. I am recording this on Sunday. There we go. But yeah, let's take a peek at those snap counts. So with JSN, he hasn't really been getting the snap counts that people probably wanted out of him, especially based off of the hype that he was getting. And actually, we have seen Jake Bobo get a decent amount of snaps. Now, it is worth calling out that they probably were trying to run the football a little bit more in that last game. And maybe they just like Jake Bobo a little bit more in the run game. But also, I don't know, watching that game, did you guys ever feel like the Panthers were going to win that game last week? Probably not. Seattle probably had that same feeling as well, but there could be something there. It's tough to say. And so once again, we kind of look at this, and if his playing time is going to be going down, which once again, it's tough to say if that's going to be true or not. I would say if this game is going to be close, like they're suggesting, then he probably does have a good chance to get this over, because when he's on the field, he is getting targeted. This doesn't make me feel good though, especially the fact that Jake Bobo, when he has played, he has looked good. Jake Bobo was one of those preseason studs, and it seems like all of them are popping off for us. Tank Dell, Puka Nacua, not Kyron Williams, Ronnie Bell, Demario Douglas. A lot of these guys that, were preseason guys we were looking at keep doing well. And Jake Bobo is another one of those players. So that's my long way of saying I feel like I don't really like that bet. Now, will I probably put one slip out there going with both of those as they're listed? Probably, but I'm not going to go crazy with it. Geno Smith over rushing yards. Let's take a peek at this one. We can see, underdog and the average sportsbook line has it set at 14.5. We're not getting a big edge here. Projection data actually has it at 10.3. I'm actually curious about the DVP here. Had the Giants given up a lot of rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks? Is that why this one's popping up? And no, they really haven't. So we probably don't need to make that bet. And that's kind of the theme right now, is I feel like we're not getting that many great bets as a whole. It kind of feels like they're trying to just use JSN's name value here to force people into some bets. I'm not going to take the bait on that. I think we just kind of go hands off for now. If there was one bet we could make in this game, maybe it's looking like at a combo bet with DK Metcalf and maybe Darren Waller. I know it's been ugly with him, but he's getting targeted heavily. Darren Waller, that is. Maybe there's something there. Let's go ahead and actually talk about those Giants. So for the Giants, we're not getting that many props just yet. We'll talk about the ones that we are getting. Darius Slayton currently at 39.5 yards. Now, he had been someone that was getting a lot of snaps for them the first two games and also last week. He is their receiver number one. Now, we did see both Hodgins and Paris Campbell see their snaps dip last week in favor of kind of Jalen Hyatt getting some work and also Landale Robinson getting some work as well. I would actually not be surprised if he eventually, if he stays healthy, becomes their receiver number one. Maybe never in snaps, but in terms of production. But we can see snap count wise, Slayton, Waller, that's kind of the pecking order. Daniel Bellinger surprisingly got a lot of work. They were just trying to run the football a little bit more. And I was actually surprised that Matt Breida got as much work as he did because I thought Gary Brightwell looked better. And I bet a lot of you guys thought that as well when you were watching that game. Just a little bit of a bigger back can actually make some people miss in the receiving game. It's not like Breida looked bad. I just thought Brightwell, looked like he did in the preseason, which was good enough. So yeah, looking at the props that we got, I don't hate the idea of going with Darius Slayton for over 39.5 receiving yards. Like the Seahawks have been one of the teams that have given up a lot of production to opposing receivers. And I know Daniel Jones has looked bad, but at the very least, he should be able to take advantage of an easy matchup, and that's what he got. That is what he has in this game. Okay, they've given up a ton of yards, given up a ton of points, and so that is a bet that I can get behind. And for what it's worth, like we see the targets there, 5, 6, 6. If Daniel Jones is able to throw the football a little bit more efficiently in this game, and Darius Slayton is still getting those targets, it's tough to imagine him not getting that over, and that's the appeal. From there, Darren Waller. Do you guys want to go with Darren Waller at all? I don't know. I'm still very mad about that. I mean, he had 2 drops. One of them was a terrible throw by Daniel Jones for both his over not to hit and also for it not to even be a push. That felt like such a bad beat last Thursday night, and that is something maybe worth mentioning, and maybe that's why they have the game staying close, is because of that time off that the Giants have from going from Thursday night to Monday night. They should be well rested. They should have a lot more time to game plan. Kind of an unfair advantage, and that's maybe why they're not predicted to lose by as many, and then maybe that's why we're getting these lines that we are as well. Now, Daniel Jones, personally, I don't want to touch him at all. Passing yards wise, you'd think he'd be able to get the over. Through 3 games, the Seahawks have given up a lot of production to opposing quarterbacks, over 1,000 yards in the air. And if we look at this list here, like some of these teams already have 4 games into that, and that just tells you how bad the Seahawks defense has been. And so my goodness, he better be able to get the over here. I mean, he did against Arizona. So like that's the stack I guess I don't mind, would be Slayton and Daniel Jones for over, receiving and passing yards. There should be some correlation there. But for the most part, guys, that kind of feels like it. I mean, we're really not getting that many that we need to be chasing in this game. Maybe if we get more, like we don't have any fantasy score props for that game just yet. Don't have any receptions props that I love just yet. And so maybe if we get those, I'll give you guys another video here tomorrow, but it just seems like it's going to be a light workload, if you will, for us on Monday Night Football. So guys, as I get into the bet of the day for this, I just want to caution you, like I do not see any big edges here personally, and the data really doesn't see that many big edges here as well. I'm giving 2 bets that I personally don't love as is, like these 2, and I'm just trying to hit a 4 bet slip like we did with the Chicago-Denver game, okay? And so personally, I think DK Metcalf, Darren Waller, they are 2 of the most likely players to score in this game. I would say Darren Waller, probably the most likely for the Giants. DK Metcalf, you got Kenneth Walker there, you got Tyler Lockett there, maybe Geno Smith sneak, maybe Charbonnet there, but DK Metcalf we know has a good chance to score a touchdown as well, so I'm fine with that one. It kind of feels like we're forcing it, like with the London game I mentioned, like really only running out of slip for this game just because I'm going to be up watching it. And so it's more for enjoyment purposes rather than bank building. So I just want to make that very clear. Now, guys, if there are more props that pop up, make sure to be checking out that 9-to-5 cheat sheet. It is available for 9-to-5 members for just $10 a month. If you guys want access to that ODDSJAM Sportsbook page as well as their fantasy optimizer, click the link in the description below. Use promo code 9-to-5 to get 25% off. All right, thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.